Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another Football Manager 23 experiment, where today it is Red Bull London. What would happen if Red Bull took over a team in London? We will find out today, as they have taken over a club and played their football in the National League to start with. So we'll see how they rise up the ranks, how things go for them. They've got a fantastic stadium, a Red Bull Arena, 30,000 seater stadium, purpose built. Can't quite see the name there, but it is, I promise you, it's the Red Bull Stadium. They've got a bit of money. They've got a base team of a few players who used to play for Woking, as Woking were the team that were bought out originally. And so they've brought all their players over, their management staff, all that sort of thing over to Red Bull London. And then they'll, I'm sure, look to spend to bring some players in as well. But for now, that's the team they've got. We'll take a look at a few years to see how they develop, how they go, what players they bring in, and what competitions they do well in and not so well in. But from that, let's go straight into it. Let's jump a season ahead and see how they get on. So what a start it is. The first season in, top of the table, 89 points, 3 points clear of Halifax, who are sitting in second place. But they've won the league. Gavin White having an average rating of 7.23. Joe Cotterill with 15 assists this season. So they've obviously brought in a couple of players, as well as using the players they've got to create some magic. Macaulay Bonne, 22 goals this season. The Zimbabwean striker, 8 caps and 2 goals for the Zimbabwe national team, coming into the club. Oh, I've just misclicked there. If that fancy's going anywhere time soon. No? Okay, cool, great. Fixed. No, I haven't fixed it. There you go. I'll leave that in as well. They managed to sign him on a free from QPR. 14 goals in 34 appearances. That's not bad. He's obviously on a good chunk of money for the division they're in. And it was to get them promoted, which he certainly did manage. Let's take a look at the transfers. Is there anyone else? Kieran Phillips from Huddersfield, Terence Van Kooten from Stevenage, Paul Downing from Bromley. So a good few names. Armstrong Okoflex looks a very promising player. 22 years old, decent all-round, originally from Arsenal, went to Celtic, West Ham, Swansea. So he's been at a few decent clubs, the Irishman. Joel Cotterill from Swansea, been brought in on loan along with CJ Egan-Riley, Cameron Humphreys and Finlay Thorndike to help them in that run, and a few players leaving the club along with that. So not a bad start to life as Red Bull London. They've had a good run. You can see in the FA Cup they did pretty well as well, because they actually got to the 4th round, losing 3-0 to Everton in the end. So ended up doing really well there. Got to the 5th round in the FA Trophy, losing to Hereford, which they're probably going to be a bit disappointed with, to be quite honest. But ultimately, a fantastic run that got them promoted to the Football League. So we'll have to jump ahead and see how they get on there. Cole De Silva being one player that's been brought in. I mean, that's a decent player. Let's jump ahead, see how they get on in next year. And if they continue to progress. So something I have only just clocked onto is the fact that was actually the second year. The first year they finished in 14th, so that just shows that they did take them 2 years to develop their players. But 14th was where they initially finished, and then the following year, that's when they shot up the table. That's when they won the title with 3 points over Halifax. Makes a lot more sense now. Rather than just being Woking and then all of a sudden just topping the group. No, they're up the top now with the Wrexham team that are no longer there. And now they're looking strong. Of course, that makes a lot more sense with likes of Alfie Rutherford, 17 goals there. Looks like he's done very well for Dorking, who are sitting in 8th. But with that, now let's jump ahead 5 years. I think it's time that we just jump 5 years and see how they get on in the Football League and what development they make, if they do continue to grow as a club, or will they stagnate at any point. Okay, so we've got 5 years on. We're in 2029 now, and they've just finished bottom of the championship by the looks of things. 28 points. Unfortunately, not quite able to hold on to the championship level. I mean, it looks like Sunderland have got into the Europa Conference League, which I've no idea how they've managed that. That's interesting. But let's take a look at the history. So we saw them win promotion from the National League. Obviously got into League 2, ended up finishing in 11th, then finished first. So it takes them a year to get settled. So they finish about mid-table and then ended up winning the thing. League 1, they came second and they've just gone up. And that's how they've ended up in the championship. But unfortunately finished in 24th. So not quite the outcome they have probably hoped for. Playing a 4-3-3 formation. A good couple of players in there. Some interesting stuff. Dozel, Sibley, Eden, Ibsen, Rossi being one of the players that has been signed, of course, which we will also take a look at now, their transfer history. So if we just jump back a couple, we can easily see 500k back there. Tom Lapsley being one of them from Torquay. A couple of players from Plymouth, along with Grimsby and Cove Rangers as well. And, of course, some loanee signings. A couple of sales along with that. Then the following year, again, 135k this time, so slightly less. 400k following year. Again, more money spent. Adam Davies, Lloyd Jones coming in for some big chunks of change. 500k then spent. Andrew Dozel coming in from Rotherham. Josh Seary from Preston. And Joseph Oluwu from Doncaster. They also got a couple of players on loan from Reading and Man United. The likes of Armstrong Okoflex off to Shamrock Rovers on a free. Interesting. 750k, the most they've spent in the season was this year, obviously to try and stay up in the championship after their quick rise. Nelson McDonough, Zhong Junjie coming in from Exeter for 200k. Elkin Baggett and Strawbridge also being bought in. They've also signed a bunch of players for free and a few from on loan from some of the big clubs in the Premier League. Certainly, Zhong Junjie, interesting signing from Exeter. Looks a pretty decent player. 14 caps as well for South Korea. So obviously playing at a high level. But there you go, really. It's a shame. Will they yo-yo between the Championship and League One? It remains to be seen. But they've got a big stadium to do it in. And they're certainly a team with plenty of promise. Have they improved on their time at all? I mean, have they got to any latter stages? It's unlikely. They're a League 2, League 1 side. Got to the third round in the FA Cup, losing to Luton there one season. Otherwise, we've got the usual sort of bits. Knocked out in the first round of the Carroll Cup against MK Dons this year. And first round of the FA Cup against Bournemouth. So they've not had a nice time of it this year, unfortunately. It looks like they've only won 3, 4, 5 games in total against Ipswich, Hull, Coventry City, Swansea and Coventry again. So not ideal. But I'm sure they continue to develop. But if you do want to see some more of this, I'm happy to take a look. Happy to simulate a few more years and all that sort of thing. So if you are interested, let me know. If not, don't worry about it. Let me know of anything else you want to see in the comments down below. And I'll be happy to take a look at any sort of experiments and that sort of thing. But with that, we'll leave it there. Thank you for watching. Make sure you leave a like, subscribe to the channel. Of course, I'll catch you in the next one.